1 second. We have a new live stream device. All right. Jeff and Adnan, can you confirm if we're live?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Yes.
Awesome. All right, here we go. Another Wednesday.
Yes.
Let people get in here.
All right, here we go.
How's everybody doing? Neil? Got 2 Neils. Right on. Got Greg Adams coming on. Vadim. What's up, Vadim? How are you? We can talk later, brother.
What's up, dude?
Hey, man. How's it going?
Hey, Patrick,
Good,
I'm
man.
all good. Sorry, I was playing around on my computer with the sound. All good. How's everything with you?
Good, man. Good. Yeah, we are enjoying some good weather here in Nashville. We got a couple more weeks here and we're about to head to New York and then to Europe. So if anyone is in New York City or in Barcelona, Paris, or London during December, January, hit me up. I'd love to meet you guys in person. So we're
So
gonna.
Florida is not on your list, right? You mentioned you're going to be here around the Florida and during the winter time, apparently change of plans, right?
Yeah, unfortunately,
It's
just-
all good.
we've been in this this mastermind here in for the Traffic and Funnels mastermind out in Nashville. So I think we'll be coming back here. My wife really wanted to spend Christmas with her family. So she's got some family in Barcelona. So we shifted things around. I would
Yeah,
love.
sure. It's a lot of fun during the winter time, Christmas season, New Year. It's a lot of fun over there.
Yeah, we're actually taking a train. We got like a train, a first class train from Barcelona to Paris, so we can spend New Year's in Paris. So that should be exciting.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Paris is awesome during the winter time. It's awesome. Holiday
Come on with us
season,
in.
amazing.
All right.
Enjoy, guys. I got your message on Lead Gen. Thanks. I'll wait.
welcome.
I just saw it was up and I saw I went into that section, saw the opportunity of connecting, and I thought, oh, okay, it's back. So I tried to connect, and obviously, I got an error message there, so I figured it's not ready yet.
You're talking about which one?
Reputation management.
Yeah, reputation management. That should be completely working. If you're having an issue, let's. I want to make sure we move the call forward. So if you're having an issue,
Talking about the API, right? I'm talking about the API. I requested
the API.
Right. So I see that.
Yeah. So that's that. You can just submit it through there. I'm actually going to go over it today because we have everything back up. So I'm going to step you through some of that functionality on today's call, going over the Gmb stuff, and I think in the next 48 hours we're going to have all the notifications working for the Gmb stuff too. So yeah, that is fully operational. You just need to get your API, and it's actually a done for you service. So if you go to the Gmb area there and submit, then you'll have that application there to fill that out, and someone from our team will kind of take that to the finish line for you and make sure you get set up.
I already did. I put it together like about a week ago or so. Apparently they're still working on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just on the I just saw under the menu that I can connect to the Google account. So I went there to connect, and when I tried to connect, I was getting an error message. So that's why I kind of sent a message to the support team. But it's okay. I'm all good. I mean, no rush.
Okay. Let's.
I understand they're working on it. No issue.
Yeah.
whatsoever.
I'm going to reach out to you after the call, and we'll see if what we can do. We did have some issues with people that have moved from Local Viking. Apparently the API setup that Local Viking requests is slightly different than ours. So we're still kind of working through that. I think we should be through that pretty soon. But it just seems like there's some small differences there. But yeah, I'm gonna walk you guys through this. I'm gonna start off with some wins though. So who's got some wins to celebrate over the last week? Dave Stowers, what do you got, brother?
Yeah, I got a massive win with Jeff last week. So we were talking about sales and going through, and to me, that was like a huge win for everybody in the group. Wouldn't you agree, Jeff?
Jeff, you're muted.
Yeah, that was huge, man. Yeah, awesome. Appreciate it.
So no, Jeff did awesome last week, and I just wanted to express thanks. So
Yeah, I took a week last week for myself. I had some friends come in. We rented a cabin in the woods in the mountains and had a little fall fun in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So yeah, sorry for my absence. It sounds like Jeff did a great job though. So thanks for picking that up. We have a win in our agency. We've been kind of working on this for a few months, but I think it's been accepted now. We have a website proposal for it was almost $36,000. So it's an e-commerce site that we're building out. So we got that. That's a client that we've had in there for a while. So not really our wheelhouse, but when we have existing clients and we don't want to have them kind of mistreated by some other company. So we're certainly capable of building out the e-commerce site for them. So that should be good. I think there's going to be some nice profit in there for our team in the end. But it's all obviously a lot of work. It's not like the lead gen model that we love and that I coach on. But sometimes it's good to strengthen these relationships with our clients and make sure that they're taken care of. So
sounds like outsourcing mastery to me.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to be bringing on some specialists to be building this one out, which means we have to manage them, and they need to be held to our standards. Right, the client hired us because of what we've done with them in the past, and this needs to be in alignment with that. So yeah, that should be exciting. So cool. What other wins we got? Anybody else have some wins?
I got 3 new clients today, and my auto glass company that sold with my partner that finally went through. So it looks like that big payout's going to be about 3 months from today. So it sold for 1.8 million to a pretty big company. So we were actually a rev share partner with them. So we built out all the assets and sold it to the bigger company. And I think our final close, it was about 5% of that deal. So not too shabby.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that sounds like over $50,000, right? What is that going to be like?
It's going to come to about 90,000. We have to stay with them for like 3 months just to make sure like everything's good to go and all the assets are still up and transfer everything over. So we're working with the new company for 90 days. We get half the payment up front, and then we'll get the remaining half after that 3 month period. So
that's awesome. Yeah, super cool. For those of you guys that don't know, JP here, he's kind of he's a high level guy. So definitely somebody that you guys may want to connect with. He's got a lot of skill sets, a lot of connection, and he's got his own group that he kind of runs. So JP, if you're open to it, maybe some of these guys, his last name. Can I share this? Is this cool?
Yeah.
Okay with you.
Yeah.
So JP's last name is Pierce, right?
Yeah. It's first name is Jordan. Last name is Pierce, P-E-A-R-C-E. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, throw it in there. Any of you guys looking? Just kind of like some of you guys are in William Jones's group. He's another guy like William Jones who has been in the game for a long time, and has a good reputation with a really high skill set.
Yeah, so I've been doing it since 2007 is when I started. So
that's an OG in this world, right? So yeah. So you guys definitely connect with him. All right, cool. What else we got? I know Patric. Is that Patric Rulin? I just see your first name there. Maybe it's a different Patrick. Okay. Cool. Any other wins? Anybody else got any positive stuff to start off this call with?
I just want to give a shout out to you there, Patrick, for giving me that stuff there last night. I'll have a win tomorrow. I thought my appointment was for the day, and I was getting ready to do the Zoom call. I had everything laid out, and I'm like, wait a minute, why aren't they on there now? So I was for tomorrow at 3:30. So anyway,
okay.
Thank you for setting that up for me. So it gave me some time to go through some stuff today. But yeah, they're excited about it, because when I showed this guy the other day, he just says like, stop. He goes, and this is my business. I'm always showing him stuff. He goes, let me get this guy on the phone right now. And he set the appointment for me. He's the business coach and he set the appointment for me.
Wow.
I didn't even have to
So,
set the appointment.
so he saw, I think you showed him the heat map, right? And
Right.
then he
Yeah,
saw
I
the
did
heat
the
map.
run. I did the run on his business. I know he's coaching this guy. He's hungry. He's wanting to grow it. And so I ran some heat maps on him and I showed the competition. That's all I really did. I hadn't showed him anything about reputation management or anything like that yet. And so I just did a quick little, basically with him, I'd run an audit on it, but I just did the heat maps. And when I started showing him the heat maps, he looks at it and he goes, I got it. Let me get this guy on the phone right now and get the appointment set up. So anyway, kudos.
Right on, man. Yeah, it's I've told you guys, it's powerful. You just got to get it in front of people. And sometimes that means getting out of our habits and our comfort zone. But, you know, if you stick and you stay doing the stuff that you've done, you're going to be kind of limited to your past results. And one of the guys, like, I don't know if you guys have been paying close attention to this. We have a contest that we're running right now. So we're doing unlimited heat maps for the rest of November. So anybody that has an account and you want to participate in this contest, basically what you do to get points for the contest is go and make posts inside groups. So I'm going to drop like a more specific training into the group and show you guys how I would do it. I shared this with another group and Spencer, who's on the call with us here, he kind of ran with it. And I know that Spencer has been in the business for a little while, but he, you know, he was kind of like landing clients here and there, and then he just kind of really turned the corner. And I think that this contest was a part of it. I know that if any of you guys know Adam McChesney, last year we ran this similar contest and he was at, I think $2,000 or $3,000 a month during the contest, running something very similar. He landed $14,000 in recurring, and I believe now he's up to $90,000 a month. And I was speaking to him about, hey, we're running this contest again. And he kind of said this was a real turning point for him. He pointed that out. I think he actually commented on one of our posts when we posted those. So if you guys are not in the contest, we're having a cash giveaway. We've got points. I'm going to be making a specific training and we'll have a leaderboard that you guys can watch. So I think competition is a great way to motivate people, but really it's about trying to get you to get out of your own way a little bit so that you can move things forward. Dave Stowers, I see that hand up. What's up, bro?
Bet you wanted to find out is there going to be a case study published on that we can take a look at, or what?
Yeah, I'm going to put something together. I'll put together like almost like a script that you guys can put in your own words. But let's go to Spencer real quick. Spencer, what have you been doing? And I'm sure you have some wins, because last time I talked to you, you had closed about 50% of the people on the internet in your business.
Well, I don't know about 50%, dude, but yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're just frozen.
Really? Oh, I'm sorry. For some reason,
you're not
been
frozen
having
with a
some
stupid
internet
face though, like most people. You froze good.
That's probably for the
Okay,
best. He's
well-
ugly anyway.
Oh, no. Anyways, so yeah, things have been great. Honestly, like I was telling Patrick, I've done 36 of these. I'll tell you the two niches. One's a majority a landscaping group that has a coach, and it's his prospecting group, as well as a coach that does majority of coaching for HVAC people. And the response has been, I was just telling Neil about this, that the response has been different. It seems like with the landscaper group than the HVAC group, but overall, I'm setting more appointments, and the closing ratio is a lot larger than I would normally have been able to have the opportunity, because I personally feel like a lot of these people, the hesitancy is that they're getting hit up by a ton of quote unquote marketers on a daily basis. And how are you guys separating yourself from, these guys that say, I can do this and I can do that, when you're starting to lead with value, like Patric's talking about in the heat map software. And there's some tricks that Patric and I've talked about with this. I don't know how deep you want me to go, Patric, with kind of the way that I've been making sure the video is set up correctly. And then the methods of going back into the group and kind of chatting or posting it within the group so that other people are seeing this and understanding that there's some excitement around it as well. There's been some strategic things that I've noticed that I initially didn't do, and with Patric having just kind of a couple tips, I have found a couple different ways of doing things and making sure that there's some more attention coming that way after the post. But the sales calls have been great. Some of these HVAC companies are larger companies, and so they're having to have conversations with I guess team management type things. But on the other hand, like I'm coming across people that need a lot of help on their personal side of businesses, but I also came across some really amazing companies that have done a really good job. I'm transitioning to more lead gen type of site and partnering with them for lead gen. And eventually, like I always tell Patric, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, him and I may have a little bit of different philosophy on it, but that these people's personal businesses get taken care of before I actually go and build the lead generation website. And so I want to develop a relationship first with their own personal business versus build the lead gen, because I've had, I was telling Neil, I had a good call with a guy that was back in the Hamptons or on the edge of Long Island that wanted to do more business in the Hamptons. And he turned out to be a total jerk. And by one phone call, if I was wanting just to go build a lead gen, I could have just went and built a lead gen and rented it to the guy. But, the business partners I want are people that, we start off with a great relationship on the right foot and then transition hopefully to a lead gen. But initially we're landing some good clients for websites, SEO, reputation management, Gmb optimization, and things of that nature. So
yeah, Spencer, if I can add something, kind of what you're doing that's working for me right now, I would even do both. You take that a step further. So the way that I work now with most of my clients is I charge a pretty low fee for managing their GMB and like their local service ads, because I mainly target home services. And one thing that's good for me is like I charge a lower fee, but I want something in return for that extra money that I could have gotten. So I make my clients go get like, hey, go ask your family and friends. I need like 4 addresses. So I actually go build assets that are going to be ones that I own, but it's there to help them get like extra calls. And it's not branded to them whatsoever. So if for any reason like that client cancels, now you have 3 or 4 GMBs or whatever that you can go sell, do lead gen to another company. So it's kind of like you're giving a little bit more to help build their brand, and you're also kind of offering like a lead generation / like rank and rent. So that way it's more in your hands too. So it's kind of a win-win for yourself.
Yeah,
that's
and
the
I've
same
done
thing.
that.
That's the same thing I do too, Spencer, is I ask them for we make it kind of seem like 2 things are required from the beginning. One is that we're going to get addresses, and 2, that they're going to hold, this is kind of not what we've always done, but this is what we're pushing towards now, is that we're going to hold them to, hey, you guys need to get reviews for us. We need your help. We're going to do all this work. You guys go and land and you close a job and you do a good job. You've created an asset. We need to leverage that asset to improve your close rate in the future and your ranking and all this stuff. I just kind of, I guess, shy away from doing the SEO part of it. And I collect the startup fee. And it's also different when the stuff for us is coming in hot. Like our stuff is referrals so often. So it's a lot easier to close. So we can ask for more things, like $2,000 startup fee. We're building our own stuff. I'm not so much worried about, if they turn out to be a jerk, because if they do that, then I'm just going somewhere else. Right. And like, we're taking what we built and we're going to sell it to someone else. And I'm not going to let it, I'm not going to have that relationship. And I'll tell them, like Jeff and we had this guy out of Chicago that was giving us a bunch of trouble. And I told him, I'm like, hey, let's do this. I'm going to refund your money and I'll refund everything. We're going to go separate ways. Because like he kept on trying to circumvent Jeff and come to me. He's like, I need to talk to a decision maker, not your client success, client manager person. I'm like, that's not how it works. You talk to him. and he kept circumventing. And I was just like, okay, let's just do this. I'll refund your money. We can go our separate ways because this is not how we do business. That's probably been, how long has that been? 5 months, Jeff?
He's probably 6 months ago. Yeah,
How-
he
how- you
fell into
never told me
line
again.
right away. Yeah, he
Yeah.
fell right into line.
So when you have that kind of positioning, and it's a tough thing to walk. I don't think it's time to do it yet. Jeff, you turn the corner where you're really like closing these people and you have this confidence. But as that continues to rise, you can really perfect this positioning to where that, like, this guy feels thrilled to not that we're building stuff that we own, right? This guy, like, he doesn't care. Like he has no, so I don't own any of this. Like, this is how we do it, man. Do you want to play ball? Or do
It
you
wasn't
not?
a small amount of money either. It was $3,000 that we charged him for the startup fee. So it wasn't like a, 1,000 or 1,500 or whatever. It was, we were willing to walk away from that. To Patric's credit, he was willing to walk away from it, ultimately. And when you have that positioning with the client, then they realize right away they're dealing with somebody in a different league, So that was an awesome moment.
Yeah, it just kind of depends how much you want to embed yourself into their business. I've always kind of taken kind of like the in-source model where like, hey, I am part of your marketing department. That's why we built this rev share model around a garage door company and this auto glass company. And we were able, I built the whole infrastructure. I built the whole dispatch system, the call system, all the call
Right.
tracking, their dispatchers. I trained their dispatchers, trained their technicians how to get reviews, how to ask for them, what types of things to ask for from the customer. Like, I built the entire infrastructure. So it's like, hey, if I walk, like they're fucked. Like, they're going to lose their
Right.
business, So like, think of it as a way, like, don't look at me as like I'm some random agency. Like, really embed yourself into the company. Like, learn about the company, learn about their sales cycle, learn if you're working with a plumber, learn, sometimes you have to teach like their technicians like how to upsell, like even or just asking for a review.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And I want to say, whether you're doing it the way Spencer likes to do it or JP, there's like clearly ones that are better, but there's a lot of ones that are great, and all of these sound really good. What I wouldn't recommend is getting just like straight SEO. Like I think a lot of people have played that game, but some people like Caleb. So those of you guys know Caleb, that's how he does it. He's running a 7-figure agency. There's different personality types that are gonna kind of like meld with these different ones. Spencer, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think you were trying to say something a minute ago, and then I jumped in there.
No,
you have something you want to add?
I've used that same method with one of my longtime companies in Utah, where we just started building assets because he wants to grow. And I think a lot of it is, if you guys are having issues with building trust, the heat map software builds that, and these audits build that trust, and it separates yourself from any other marketer that's out there. When these guys get a video that has that heat map, it's like, what is this stuff that you're looking at? And you walk it through and you explain in detail, and you're giving like a couple tricks that I told Patrick that I'm doing is I'm not even mentioning anything. If you guys are on, I think I talked about last week's call, I don't even mention anything about our services. I use words like, I would have your marketer take care of this. I would have your website person take care of this. And the way I've been doing the reputation management is when I'm going through reviews and I'm kind of updating on how they should be, their customers or clients should be leaving reviews. I say something to the fact, like, when we set up reputation management, this is what we do. We coach your clients to leave this, and the response that I've gotten is great, because you.
Is he cutting out for you guys too?
Yep.
Yeah,
Really
post
bad.
it, and then post it.
Yeah.
These people are reaching out. These people are serious, and some of these companies. Sorry, guys.
So on that
We'll try
1-800
try
collect
this. Is this
internet.
any better?
I don't know. It seems like it was intermittent, so it's hard to tell.
Okay.
No, I think you're
Well,
still cutting out, man.
Are you on
I don't
dial-up?
know okay.
American Online.
You were on that. He ran out of AOL minutes. It's time for a new CD.
You gotta put another quarter in it, dude. Come on. It's the
Spencer's out.
library.
Spencer's out in like
EPE?
Oregon. He's out in Oregon. He's out in the
Yeah, he's out in EBE.
Yeah, he's out in the woods. All right.
It's okay. We still love you, Spencer.
Yeah. I'm going to keep this moving. I've got some exciting stuff to share with you guys. So let's jump into some of this. If you guys got questions, whether you're watching on the Zoom or in one of the Facebook groups, just post it in there. I believe Jeff is monitoring those, and those will get to us. But I am going to share my screen, and I'm going to take you guys through some exciting stuff here with some new updates that we have. So let's get this rocking and rolling here. All right. It's back, right? The Gmb Management module. There it is. If you guys have your APIs and plug them in, this is what we can do, right? So let's start off on the screen here. Okay, so we've got this screen here where you're going to get all sorts of different information about your Google My Businesses. So you have different columns that you can add. We're going to be adding to this quite a bit. So I'm going to jump into this, but I just want you to know, one of the things that we've struggled with in our business is like, we have 800 something GMBs, which is, it's a lot to manage, right? And when one of them goes down, you're not going to be checking 800 a day or 800 a week, right? So having like real-time notifications is important, but it's also important for you to have a system where you're identifying problems and weaknesses, right? So if this were an actual GMB that I was trying to rank, and I have this where it says review count equals 0, but imagine that I have 800 here and I can search by the review count, right? So I can use this kind of like almost spreadsheet-like format to start to identify weaknesses that exist within my Google My Businesses. Okay, some of you guys that are concerned about like, hey, is this safe? So a lot of you guys were on this platform or one of our platforms, and we had more than 10,000 GMBs added in here when they pulled our Gmb API. So I heard of 0 people saying that, hey, I like had these GMBs suspended. This is set up and built for the reason for a third-party application like our software to come through and add lots of GMBs. So it's not like we're doing something weird or strange, and the footprint, it's meant to manage hundreds of thousands of GMBs. So to take it back to a business owner wouldn't make any sense for Google. And we saw that. So pretty much the worst thing that could happen, we lost our API, happened, and still we didn't lose any GMBs related to that. So I feel very confident with it. I actually think it's probably more safe than logging in. If you're logging in and you're using like VPNs or proxies, and that to me seems way scarier. I don't want my team doing that so much, right? So this is a great solution in my mind for that, but I don't own Google. Shocker, right? So I don't know all the details of exactly how they look at it, but this is just my personal opinion on like the API and protecting GMBs. Okay, so we've got this database type thing. We can click on view. Okay, once we get in here, you can see that we went through kind of 2 stages, right? We removed the ability to edit. So that was a choice that we made to try to preserve our API because people were trying to hack the system. But now that everything is on its own API, you guys can edit it as much as possible. If you guys get suspended, it's your API that's getting suspended, not everybody else's, right? So just be careful with that. The process to get it, you would come through here. If you haven't done it already, you can come up and click on Gmb API Integration. And then in the top right, just choose apply, and it will take you to this form. Okay, this form this is a done for you service, which means that someone from our team will go through and take care of this for you. We just need to get some information from you to get it started. There may be some questions along the way, so they'll reach out to you. Okay, so we can edit all the details of our Gmb here. If you've removed the address, you can see that it won't show, but what you can do is you can click on this view and it will take you right out here to kind of see your Google My Business there. All right, so that's really cool. You also have the ability to add in your photos right through here, assign them to categories, all this kind of stuff. The reviews. So as the reviews come in, we see this one from Jeff Howe. You can come through and you can reply to your reviews. You can get notifications when a review comes in. The same with questions and answers. If you ask a question, then that will show up. You can get notified in real time and you can answer that through here. Additionally, posts. I know a lot of you guys are like really interested in posts. We know that posts can positively influence the ranking of our Google My Businesses, and we can kind of use it to get pretty strategic and hyper local. If we want to like a post to be related to a certain area, then we can do that. So you can see your post, you can edit your post. What else you can do is you can create a new one. So we have this, some of you guys are familiar with Spintax. So let's say that this is my bear removal site, right? So let's say I want to write something like this. I am, let's say, are you looking for? So then I can use this format here. So I've got two little brackets here, and I could say like bear removal, and then I'll put in another one that says, I don't know what another keyword would be for bear removal. Removing bear.
Pest removal.
Yeah, we'll do pest removal. Okay. And then in this last one, because Dave helped us out, we'll just do hi Dave. Okay. All right. So this is
Nice.
Spintax. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to create, and imagine that I'm doing this. We'll just do this a few times and you'll kind of see the effect of this. Okay. So this can make your description for your post unique, right? So you can put in a bunch of different words and rotate it through this. And then you could essentially write one post and then have it be switching out words. Like maybe we want to do the same thing for over here. Instead of are you, we could write do you need, right? And every time I click this regenerate Spintax, it's going to switch things around. So this is awesome for creating unique content where we write it once. It takes us a little bit longer to write it once because we got to think of all the different variations, but it will allow us to have kind of a library of posts. And what you can do is you can pull in the last URL. So there's some benefits to kind of having this daisy chain from like one post to another post. So you can pull that in there. You can select photos from a library. I don't have any added in here. If I had some, I could add in photos and have those photos be rotated. So the post will last about 7 days. Okay, so what's great is we allow you to schedule the post. So if I want to schedule the post to be 7 days from now, I can have this next post go out here, and I can even pick a time of when that's going to happen. Okay, and then I'll choose a time zone. We can also set up recurring posts. So if I want this to recur every week, maybe, for how many times do I want it to recur? Maybe I want it to recur every 4 weeks or every week for 4 weeks, right? So posting is back. That's obviously a valuable piece. We have a new user interface we're about to drop in here that I think is going to make this a little bit cleaner and easier to work with, but don't quite have it ready yet. Okay, so the notifications, we think they're going to be live by Friday. It's kind of our goal. And unfortunately, I know that some of you guys are waiting for the white labeling that's coming out. We had planned for that to be live by Friday, but we need a little bit more time on that. So we're shooting for the middle of next week. I'll keep you guys updated on that. So with the white labeling, you guys will be essentially able to, Jeff, you want to help me out? I don't know where that's coming from. Sounds like we're getting some feedback though. So with the white labeling, you will be able to kind of erase all, like whether you guys are watching on LeadSnap or lead generated, you'll be able to release all evidence of our site. So you'll be able to put your own logo, use your own colors, and then this can be hosted on your domain. So it'll actually still be hosted with us, but it will be like a subdomain of yours. So it could be like, crm.will.com, right? Or something like that. Or so you could, there's just some settings. So it's a complicated piece for us to get set up. And we are kind of like on the 95-yard line, just need a little bit more time for that. So excited to get that out for you guys. Okay. The final piece here for the Gmb module is the insights area. Okay, so this will allow you to see your kind of real-time data from your Google My Business, which is great. So I can see these people that have had 726 have been direct, and then these ones are like discovery. And then if I come down here, I can see the customers that have viewed my Google My Business. I can see the actions that they have taken. They've apparently 5 people have called. Hopefully they sorted their stuff out because we are not providing bear removal service, and that phone call is probably needed if someone's making it. So you can see photo views and photo quantity. Doesn't appear that it is showing correctly. So I guess we'll have one of our team take a look at that. So that is the Google My Business module. It's back. So really excited to have that back. It's been for those of you guys, I know a lot of you guys have been frustrated with the lack of this not being here. We've done everything we could to get it back as quickly as possible. So thank you guys for being patient with us. I know it's been several months since we had access to it, but I think it's back, and the way we have it now, I believe it's going to be back for good. So I don't think we're going to run into any of those types of issues again. We have a plan now that's kind of set up for longevity. So really excited for that. Jeff, are there any questions on?
Yeah, we have a couple of questions. What's the timeline to get the API approved?
Yeah, so the API approval, we've seen it be from like a week to 2 weeks. We're getting better at the process. So hopefully we can bring that down. We've kind of like learned from what Google is looking for and this type of thing. But that's what we're looking at now. And kind of what we're planning to do in the future is to secure a bunch of APIs, a bunch of extra ones, and then not even have to have people go through the approval process, but just to have a bunch on a shelf and have them stockpiled. But we're not there yet. So right now we've got this approval process that we have to do.
Right on. As far as notifications, can you dig into that just a little bit more? So somebody asked specifically, can you get a notification if the GMB is suspended? What else can you get notifications for?
Yeah, for sure. So absolutely, that's probably the most important thing to get the notification for. So you can get the notification if it's suspended. You can get the notification if a review has been left. You can get it if somebody makes a suggestion, and you can get it if there's a question. So, and then we're going to be creating our own notifications. So those are ones that we're kind of relying on Google to give us the heads up. But one of the things that we're going to be doing is setting up, let's share my screen a little bit more here. Okay, so one of the things we're going to be doing with our new, we have another piece that I'm going to be going over. We have a reporting module that we're about to release, and we're going to start setting up thresholds where if let's say that your total views drops by 10%, then you could get a notification for that. So that's not going to be available in the next week, but that's something that's on our roadmap that we're getting. So to start with, it's going to be those 4 things: the suspended the GMB status change. So if it comes like out of pending into live, or if it gets marked as permanently closed or suspend, like any of those things, you'll get a notification. And then reviews, suggestions. So if someone's saying, hey, this business actually closed, and then the questions. So any of those things would trigger a review. So what's great now, since we have the phone system built in, is you can get this stuff as a text message, right? Or an email. So I'm looking forward to that because, you know, I like being able to take action within a few minutes of like your GMB gets suspended and then like, hey, we need to do something because this is like a main GMB, right? We want to make sure that this is moving in the right direction before our client like even knows, right? So any other questions there, Jeff?
Dave Stowers has a question. He's scaling his agency. He says, what if I have 5 million customers? Does he get one API, or how would that work?
Yeah, you should be good with that, Dave. Let me know when you hit that mark, and we can set up a second one if it's necessary, but it's meant to manage hundreds of thousands, right? So it's meant to be in a software product that manages people that don't know each other, right? So like that's how the API is designed. So that's why I think it's safe that they're not going to go and say connect like, hey, well, I'm going to suspend all these because these are just business owners, right? Okay. Any other questions, Jeff?
Yeah, we got Will asking, should I be using lead generated or LeadSnap?
It's up to you. Pretty soon, as we release our white label, you'll be able to log into either one. So, you know, LeadSnap was always kind of our main version, and lead generated was a white label that we launched into one Facebook group. They have the same functionality though.
Cool. Patrick is asking, does LeadSnap allow me to give a VA restricted access to my account so I can assign them to do GMB posts, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go over here to settings and then go to users and user roles. So how this works is you can make user roles for, let's go look at an existing one. So I can make a user role and there's all these different permissions, right? So you'll notice that there's kind of a mapping where it says like CRM here and CRM here. And then these are the different permissions that you would give them just within the CRM. So you could turn these on or off. So for instance, right now automations is off. So if a person that was assigned to this user role, when they log in here, this automations thing would not be here. So they wouldn't be able to access it. Okay. And so that is the way it is for all these. You can see here's reputation management. And then right now, Google My Business is an on or off, but Google My Business and so there's a few different permissions working here at the same time. So since we had just launched our Gmb management, we had kind of deprioritized setting the permissions up for that because we didn't even have access to it until recently, but we're going to be building all those out. Okay, so you could turn it on or off, but GMBs, just like leads, those work with two sets of permissions at the same time. So let's think about this for leads, and then we'll talk about the GMB. So when you set up a user, if I go here and I create a new user, right, I have the option to add them to companies, right? So GMBs, so if I just choose this bear removal within the CRM, they're only going to have access to like companies for this bear removal. And that's the same for the GMBs. So if you just assign them to, the GMBs are associated with the company, and then you can assign user level access to a company. So that allows you to decide which ones they'll have visibility to, but we will be changing and adding a bunch of permissions relative to the GMB module about like the different areas that maybe you want them to be able to view it, but not edit, like for our clients, right? So we will give you those types of permissions, right? So a lot of flexibility with how you can set those user up and more to come. Any other questions, Jeff?
Yeah, we got a whole stream of them. Dave is asking, how are we handling the change or rebrand of Google My Business to Google Business Profile? I know it may be a little early on that answer, but
I refuse to acknowledge it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure what implications that's going to have on our end. You know, we haven't tried to like rank for like GMB stuff. So like from a search, that's not going to affect us. We're still logging into the same thing. You know, I guess at some point we may need to rename this within our system from like GMB to what's it going to be, GBP? Which just sounds,
maybe. Yeah,
it just sounds
get used to it.
Silly. So, but I don't really see, other than a renaming of it, I don't really see the effect that it's going to have. But I guess we'll see if there's something I don't know about.
We'll have to change with the times there. Patrick is asking, when you have a GMB with no address, how does that affect the stability or longevity of the GMB? I guess he's talking about phone verified.
I don't know that it necessarily affects it. I think that if it does have the address, then I think Google maybe views it with more trust. I would love to hear Jordan, if you're still tuned in. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that question. So the question is like, how does the visibility of the address on a GMB affect the longevity of it?
So it doesn't necessarily affect the longevity of it, but based upon testing, it definitely helps with proximity. But unfortunately, it's all comes down to threshold and risk tolerance. Like if I lose a listing, it's not really the end of the world for me because I can get another one up. But by nature, the way proximity works, it works better, and it does have a little bit of a trust factor if the address is showing. Because with Google, their API picks up the listings a lot quicker and they index a lot faster. So like if any of you have ever tried to create a new GMB and the address is hidden, sometimes you won't see your listing with a keyword search for like 5, 7, 10 days. That's the reason why. So just know that there is some advantages and disadvantages, but with the way most of the industries though is that most of them are going to require to hide the address, otherwise you will get flagged. So it's kind of just one of those things. What do you want to risk doing? So
Jordan, that is kind of like what he just said was exactly my understanding. And one of the things that we started kicking around was the idea of leaving the address there for like a week or two and then hiding it. Do you have any thoughts on that strategy?
It's risky too, because once it already goes through the full index and filter system, if you try to hide the address after, you're probably going to have to re-verify the listing or it's going to get flagged.
Okay, so don't do that then.
Yeah,
Right.
same
Cool.
same both ways too. So if you hide it and then try to add an address again, it'll probably get flagged or ask you to re-verify the listing.
Right. So any of that change, it kind of like rattles the boat. to
Yeah,
point
the
where-
4 main things that people need to pay attention to are the address, category, name, actually, well, 5. So category, name, address, phone, and website. So
Mhm.
those 5 main things are what will trigger something to get flagged.
There you go, guys. Best practices.
All right,
Cool.
so
Dave, you got a
it's-
question?
Yeah, so this is geared towards service businesses or brick and mortar businesses, because as a service, I don't want anybody coming to my house or wherever it is, what hotel I'm hanging out at.
It's not about necessarily what you prefer. It's more in the sense of I'm the same way. Like I've owned a locksmith company for 8 years, and like I've had people show up at my house, but there is an advantage of showing the address. It's not, I'm not saying like you won't be able to ever rank your service related business, but there is definitely a factor when it comes to proximity. Now there's things that you can do with service related businesses to help with that, but any listings that show an address, that's always going to have a bigger advantage.
So you're basically saying that if there's some way you can add a disclosure onto all of your messaging that goes out, then that's better than hiding the physical business address. In other words, I make a post on my GBP, and it says, we're not taking customers or appointments at our present location.
I don't think you're ever gonna, like, honestly, nobody's reading the content on your site. People are gonna, like,
No,
they're gonna make a,
this is on the business profile.
right. But I'm just saying, like, no matter what you post, whatever message you try to deliver to prevent somebody from coming there.
No one's gonna, posts are really for like ranking. It's pretty rare that users actually read your posts. Now when it comes to like, I mean, if you're working with if you're like a locksmith or a garage door company and you're working from home, yes, you can probably get away with it for a little bit by showing your address, but realistically, you're going to probably have to hide it regardless. So again, it's kind of one of those things like, yeah, you may see it in the wild with what other companies are doing, but it is risky. So
Yeah.
I've found that with the agency on the GBP or GMB that throwing coupon codes in, people actually read that, which is nice. But I understand what you're saying as well. For the most part, they don't. So, hey, I appreciate the clarity.
Yep. Yeah, my pleasure.
So one question on that, in terms of showing or hiding the address with whatever niche you're in, is there a rule of thumb to, kind of help you determine I'm in X niche, I should or should not have my address showing?
Yeah, so the biggest ones that I look for are mainly, so the highest quote unquote spam niches that Google's looking for, look at what's in the local service ads. So personal injury, that should be like your main focus. Like if I'm getting into this niche, is it showing in local service ads? Because there's a whole reason why Google even started that platform in the first place, because they're trying to get rid of all of us, right? Mm-hmm. So those are like the main categories that you want to look at, whether to determine whether it's a good idea to hide the address. I will tell you, like, that list is pretty strict. I have like 15 locksmith listings in my area, and all the addresses are hidden. I don't have a single one that's showing.
So to clarify, that's the Google local ads.
Yeah,
that
so
show
the
up?
local service ads, like I can put the thing here.
Thank you again.
Yeah.
Hey, JP, there's one more question specifically to you about adding an address to your service GMB. I run a mortgage company out of my home and don't want people coming to my home. So how can I get a GMB at a different location, not using a postcard method? And if I do rank and rent for the mortgage loan niche, how do I get many GMBs with some with address and some without an address?
Yeah, so the ones that you're gonna show an address, I mean, technically, like mortgage, you might get away with showing it at a home address, but again, if you don't want people, if it's like your personal address, you don't want it to show, then just hide it. But it's unfortunately, like, it's pretty tricky with even trying to get like a virtual office. because Google's pretty smart with those.
Yeah.
You might get away with being able to put a mortgage listing at a virtual office. But like for like a locksmith, there's no way in hell. But I would try that. There's still several like virtual offices that are still privately owned that aren't like a Regis or a Cloud Office that you could probably get away with. So I would start with one of those first. They're usually like 50 to like $80 a month.
Yeah, for that niche, that sounds like a good way to do it. Just test and see what happens.
Yeah, I just posted the link in the Zoom chat here too that shows the categories that are in the local service ads.
Oh, cool. Thanks, JP. Appreciate that. Patrick, Dave is asking, what is the URL for the public roadmap?
We don't have a public roadmap yet. That's something that we'll be getting out there. I did have a little bit of hesitation with kind of sharing our public roadmap, but we've kept it internal right now. One thing we're going to start to do is we're going to be a lot more active with sending out updates via email, and we're going to be kind of mentioning some of the what's coming down the pike stuff in those as well as on these calls. But we've already seen that there's been some people who have done their best to try to copy some of the parts of our system, even taking it so far to use actual screenshots of our stuff, which is funny and I could take it as a compliment, but we're just kind of holding back on everything that we have coming. But I'll tell you, we're working really hard on some big stuff. For those of you guys have seen over the last 12 months, I think the functionality of the platform has more than doubled. And I just kind of mention and drop it on the calls what we have. So we do have we have reporting that we're about to have out, the white labeling, our mobile apps, and then we have some huge updates that I'm hoping that those are further down the road. I'm not going to get into those, but I think those are just going to it's going to change everything. So really excited for those. All right, so
one more question. It's more of a functional question here. If you have a dashboard that we can mark calls as a lead or not, how do clients do that?
How do clients mark a
lead? Yeah, mark a call as a lead or not.
Yeah, let me share my screen again. And all right, Jeff, give me a thumbs up. You can see my screen or someone? Yep. Okay, cool. All right, so you're going to want to be in the CRM area. And if you go to website forms, so just don't let the name confuse you. The website forms control a lot of the lead columns and stuff. Hindsight, we probably should have chosen a better name, but I'm going to come in here and I'm going to choose this like edit form. And you will see that we have the ability, if we go in here, we can decide whether, if we're on the form that's associated with the company, we can go in here and we can click on this little person icon. And there's an option here to allow for client editing. So if you have that visibility, then you would provide access to your clients or to whoever you want on a field level. And then they essentially could come in here, and so they would go and look at, like, so as I mentioned, they'll only have access to the leads that are assigned to them, right? So imagine that this is Dwight from Dwight's Gym for Muscles. I would come in here and click on view, and then I would enable editing. And for me, since I'm an admin role, all of this stuff is editable. If it's a client and only part of this, then it just simply won't change, like this right here. You can't change the company that it's associated with. So this is what it would look like. So the fields, and then they would just come in here and they would edit that field and update it.
You may have already shown this, but the same person asked the question on the client view. I can't figure out how to get the numbers and names to show without clicking into each individual lead.
Oh yeah, sure. So what you can do, and I'll tell you guys, these patterns exist throughout the entire application. So once you learn these, you'll know how all the other parts of the application work. So all the time, whenever there's a list, there's a columns button here, and you would just come up here and select. So if I wanted to show like street, then I would do that and click save, and that would show it here, right? So you can see now the street column is showing up right here, right? With a bunch of weird made up streets, but so that's kind of how you do it. And then these icons here, these gear icons mean that, that this is one of the fields that came with the system. You want to try to use those whenever possible. They'll just make your life easier. These ones here with the little pencil, these ones are custom ones. And you can make as many as those as you want, but you can add any of these to this view as well as search by them, which kind of, it's a really important feature. It's kind of subtle, but it adds a ton of flexibility because essentially you can bend and twist the system to be whatever you need it to be, measure what you want, track what you want, allow editing. So it gives a ton of flexibility. So you would just kind of, to make new fields, you come in here, you want to make sure that you have the associated company. So you can see this form is associated with these companies. And then I would come in here and I could add new fields with the custom one. These are the predefined ones up here with this gear icon. So some of the advantages, for instance, is like this right here is using Google Maps. So if you've ever been on a website where you like start to type the address and it kind of like fills it in for you. So that's like one of the advantages with using these fields is that you can like, it will auto-complete the rest of those. But you can just come down here and make a new field. You get the field types, text, checkbox, radio, all these different types. And then you could build out your own fields and add those to your forms. So that's kind of how that works. And then if you wanted to, just one second, I know there's a question. This is the area where you would assign a field. Like, so these are the companies that are in my system and these are the forms that I've created. So this is where I'd make the association between the form type or the form that I've created and the company that I want to use it with. So I think that was Dave Stowers that was raising your hand. Did you have a question, Dave?
Yeah, is this very much similar to your short code since you're already showing us a little bit about spin text?
Oh, sorry. I guess I don't understand your question. Trying to think, is this similar to short code? So
Short code.
This is the form. So like these forms, we call them website forms, but they have a few different purposes in here, right? So one is that you can embed this on a site, but that's not all that they do, right? So, and
Right.
you would get like a piece of code. So maybe that's kind of like similar to short code where you're going to embed this on the site.
It would be last_name and it would just show up as the last name of the customer. That would be a short code.
Yeah, I understand what a short code is. I guess I don't understand the context of the question.
So if you're putting together forms and you're having to send emails out for reporting or whatever, is it going to pull that in?
Oh, yeah. So, okay. So like when we go into the automations and we go here, we do have some short codes that are going to pull that data in. So if I was going to send an email, I could come over here and drop this name, right? So there's your short code, right? Where it can substitute these in as variables. So for those of you guys who didn't see on our previous automation stuff, I could say, hi, and that's going to pull in the name. So imagine this is like coming trigger for this one. We'll make it a form submission. So this is coming from a form. Someone fills out a form and I'm going to send them an email. And so like this will be hello from Bob's bear removal or something like that. Could be the subject. And this could be Bob, the bear master, right? And I could say hi. So that's substituting in that person's name. And I could even pull in the client's name and say, so in this case, it would substitute in Bob. This is Bob with.
And those codes are listed down below as to what you can use versus what you can't use.
You can just drag and drop them. So there's not really a list. You can see I'm just like grabbing this and then I'm taking over here and then it shows up here.
Gotcha.
Right.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it makes it really flexible to do that. And then you can also include buttons with this, with links to other part of the applications. If I click this, it's going to, like if this were for a review, then it's going to link to the funnel and include.
Hey, this is Bob the Bear Master. How did we do? Is it linked
exactly.
Is it linked into the reviews as well?
It pulls the link to the funnel. So you can kind of see right here, it's got this button and this, if this button option right here, I said include button, and then the button link is a review funnel. Or I could do like one to the lead details. If this was going to a client, maybe I want to give them like a quick link to the actual lead details. Or if I wanted to send them to some other, who knows what, weird website, then I could do that there.
Awesome. Patrick, I do ask a lot of questions that are for the good of the group.
Yeah, hopefully some people are getting some value from this stuff.
So I'll go ahead and shut up now.
Yeah, no worries. Spencer shared that he just got his notification, his first port phone numbers is complete. So he's excited about that. It's awesome, Spencer. And then Will is asking, he's applying for the API. What if his agency doesn't have a GMB? Can he just use one from his lead gen sites? What should he do, Patrick?
Yeah, I believe that you can do that. I am not the person that's like, obviously I've got a team of people and I've got someone that's assigned to all the Gmb API stuff. So that might be great to post as a question in the group, and we can make sure that they respond, but I believe that would work. I don't see why it wouldn't. I think maybe your chances of success would be higher with an agency, but I think it would work just fine.
Cool. And then Neil is sharing that he just had a first audit request from some group posts he did this afternoon. Congratulations on that. Patrick is asking, have you guys had any luck getting GMBs using a hotspot and your cell phone?
Don't read my response.
Oh, that you already. Okay, JP saying sometimes you can.
Don't read that. It's only for the Zoom group.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
So if you're not on Zoom, you might miss out on some information, but we're gonna keep that one under wraps a little bit. But
right on.
It sounds like the answer was mostly no, though, right, JP?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Okay. All right. Cool. So, Jeff, are we caught up on questions?
We're caught up. It's
Okay,
amazing.
right on. Okay, guys. So this is a really important piece that I am super excited to have for you guys. So one of the things that we've struggled with as our agency has grown is, like, even though we have this like awesome tool with all this information, is reporting. We've got so many different lead gen sites. I think we have close to 400, right? So different things are happening all the time. Things are changing, our traffic's dipping, all this stuff is happening. It's been hard for us to keep up. It's also Jeff's job to keep our clients informed on and to make sure they're happy, right? So we've kind of like, Jeff is our client success person to make sure that our clients are doing good and that they're happy and all the stuff. So this is going to be great for him. So what this is it's going to allow you to make a report or a series of reports. And this is just a mock-up right now. We don't have this built out. I'm still kind of like going back and forth with my designer. And let's just kind of go through it. So the way it works, this is a page that's going to display our list of reports. And if I want to create a new one, I will click here, and I need kind of like something that's going to be the topic of the report. In the future, we're going to mix these together, but we're going to start with like the basic version and then expand on it. So that way you guys can start to enjoy the amazing benefits of this sooner. So let's say that I pick like GMBs. Okay. So this is where I can start to pull in all sorts of different, whoa, it's really wide. And these scroll bars are fake. Hold on one second. I'm going to stop my share and move this to a different screen that's bigger. Bear with me.
Command plus or command minus.
Yeah, it's like this image though. It doesn't function like normal stuff does. And it gets all out of whack when you start trying to stretch things. Okay, cool. All right, so this screen is bigger. So, okay, we gotta use this one down here. Okay, so in this example, you can see that I've got like all these different things that are related to, some of them are related to GMBs. We've got stuff about heat maps. So I can essentially create a report with information that is from different parts of the application, right? You can see that we're starting to bring in like total views. So this is pulling in our Google Insight data, right? And this is pulling in reviews that should say replied. This is our scheduled posts. So all sorts of different information, right? And then notice up here, we have this compare function, which apparently doesn't work on this screen, but we'll show that in just a second. You also have the ability to schedule this. So you can schedule these reports, and then you can have these reports sent out to different emails to users in your account. So if you have like this Kristen Watson person or whatever is one of your clients, then you can have that sent out, or you can send it out to someone else. Notice that you can include a logo. So this isn't where the logo part's going to be. I don't think it's very intuitive here, but the idea is that you're going to have like, be able to create this like mixed data report that's branded and schedule it to be sent out. So it's a great way for you to keep track of things within your business. It's also a great way for you to just give your clients more information on a weekly basis. And now if we kind of understand what this is and we go back and we go in here again, let's look at companies this time, because I think maybe companies will have a little bit better information. So here we've got like leads and calls and forms, and this is how many GMBs are associated with this company. Here's the heat map average. We're going to be adding in a field where you can put in the amount that your clients are paying you. So that way we can calculate cost per lead, which I think is going to be really nice. You can see that we've got Google Analytics traffic, reviews, whether that's total reviews, you can have bounce rate. There's all kinds of different columns that we're going to have in here. And then what's really cool is we're going to give you the ability to compare over time periods. So if you want to compare like, hey, here's the leads for company one from this time period, right? Let's say I go, gosh, this is confusing on how to use this. Okay, so I'm going to compare this to some other dates. And I think if I click apply, this is kind of what we're going towards, is you're going to be able to have this kind of, hey, this is how you're performing now versus performing later. And then kind of the next step after this is, okay, let's start to get notifications. We run these reports, and maybe I want to get alerted that my Google My Business bounce rate just went up, or my
Hey,
traffic
Patric,
went down.
I think you're showing the wrong screen. You're on call logs on
Oh my
the
God.
live. My bad. I didn't notice that.
Oh God. All right.
Now you got to start over from the beginning.
Do. I am.
Can't take this guy anywhere. You sure you're going to Europe, man? You sure you don't want me to fill
I'm
in for
probably
you?
gonna end up in Japan or somewhere.
People were still saying this is awesome, so
I don't know what they're looking at. They're looking at these call logs.
I
So-
thought it was awesome too.
Patrick's missing in Europe. Can't figure out the screen.
Right. All right. Can we see this screen now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're going to jump right into the compare feature. So the ability basically to compare your whatever columns you set up. This is going to be completely customizable, where you add in your own columns and then you kind of have a comparison. So this would be, for instance, company one lead count looks like this one is up 40%, where it was 20. I'm not sure on the math on that, but this is just a mock-up, right? So you kind of get the idea that, hey, this previous period it was 15, and you can kind of set these date ranges for what you want it to be. You can set the columns, and then you can turn on the compare. So we can start to get this information about what's happening in our business without having to go through and say, okay, is this company still doing good? Is this company? And then the idea is to be able to set alerts. So maybe if this number that says forms are down 12%, right? So maybe I set a threshold up where, hey, I want to get notified if this drops by more than 10%, because like, obviously there's going to be some standard variance that's going to happen, right? So being able to see that and get notified of it is something that I think is missing in our agency. And, for those of you that are scaling and building this out, this is really important information to keep track of, because you need to find out about this as quickly as possible. Something like if you just lost a GMB, you need to find out if you're, so like, say you have like us, we've got 400 websites, and our website traffic starts tanking and our bounce rate goes like up to 100%. So there's been times where we've gone and looked at our sites and we realize it says like database error, like the website's not even essentially live, and we didn't know it, right? So stuff like this can help you. Like in that example, you might want to use some kind of like uptime monitor, but there's a lot of things going on, and to be able to get this information, maybe the competitors are creeping in on you, right? So that's, I think, going to be really good for us to be able to kind of have a dashboard and reporting on what our business is doing, how our companies are doing, right? So just to kind of go back over this page here would represent the reports that we've created. If I want to create a new report, I could do this. We've got these 4 topics where it could be companies. So we were just kind of looking at that company report where we've got kind of all this possible data here. If I want to do GMBs, I could set up the GMB reports, and I could show all sorts of stuff relative to the GMB. If I want to schedule it. I could come here and click on schedule and decide what frequency I want this to go out. From here, this is where I was saying you could send out an email. You could select a user in your account, or you could send it out to somebody that's not in your account if you check this and put their email in there. This logo is not going to be here. It's going to be on the other screen, but you'll be able to make a branded report that you can send out. So maybe you want to send this out to your client every 30 days, right, with their list of leads. So we've got a few of these different topics that you can build the report on, right? So we could build it on, I don't know if we have the leads one in here. So this could be a list of leads. And then you could do it for users. So we know that maybe like one user might have a bunch of companies, right? So we could have like a client report. That would be a user where like, hey, I don't want to send you could essentially do it either way, because you're going to have the option to filter what users or companies show up, right? So you could kind of build this and structure it however you want. So I think it's going to be really powerful to have this flexibility in here and have this reporting for you. And we're going to continue to add to this. And I'm going to try to blend in as many parts of this entire system into these reports as I can. Cool. Jeff, any questions on this stuff?
Yeah, you answered it as far as like scheduling and automation. I just think that this is an amazing feature that could really help, keep tabs on everything. As you scale, these things get out of control, and we found ourselves on the wrong side of the 8-ball on a few situations where we didn't have information that could easily have been pulled in one of these reports. So I'm really excited to implement this in our agency.
Lead heat map, Patrick. Lead heat map.
That is definitely coming, Jordan. That's on my do not tell.
Okay.
Roadmap.
Do not tell. Grace is asking, can you show the in view of the report?
No, I don't have that part of it done yet. We just kind of so our process is I draw these ridiculously stupid looking sketches, and then our designer makes it look beautiful, and we go back and forth on this. So we're still in the stages of kind of like prototyping this. I don't think this is going to be like a super complicated piece to build out. So I think it's going to come pretty quick, but we're not going to start building until we get it all dialed in, and we don't have it all the way dialed in yet. So that's one of the pieces that's currently missing.
Yeah, those sketches are proprietary. We can't show that.
They look like someone who's never seen a pencil before. All right. Do we have any additional questions?
Oh, we just got one from the heat map for the heat map contest. Will it count if we do a heat map for an SBO, SEO?
Small business organization? What does that mean?
I don't know. Send them through email or messenger, or small business owner. Yes.
Oh, small business owner. I'm not sure how we could track that. Maybe we could find a way to track that. I would love to say yes, because really the point of this is to try to get you guys to use this as a prospecting tool. And we just got to make sure that it's fair. There, like I said, there's a cash prize. It's 500 for first, 300 for second, and 200 for third place. So, but I think what we saw last time, I think Adam McChesney got second, but he landed $14,000 in business. So what you get from this is not the prize money. It's like really the mental switch towards doing the work that's required to kind of scale your business, right? Cool. All right. Any questions?
Can I still get in the contest?
Yeah, join the contest. I think one of the things that I'll be adding to the contest, we're gonna run the contest all the way until the end of the year. So Spencer seems to be the person that is really going after it, and I would love for somebody to give him a run for his money, right? And
I'm thinking about it.
Go get it, man.
How do we enter the contest? What are we doing here?
Yeah, so we're gonna share. I shared it last week. If you look at last week's call, you'll see a form. I'll share it again, and I'll attach it to this call. So regardless of what group you're watching this from, you can catch that form there and sign up. And then there's just a log as you go and you make these posts. You kind of log this. So we'll have a leaderboard, so people kind of know where they are neck and neck.
Yeah,
And
that was the next question. Where are the results posted as we
Yeah,
go
so
along? The leaderboard is on the way.
Yeah, I'm probably going to build it directly into the application, so you'll be able to see the leaderboard from within the platform. I'm thinking about too offering. I did this last time, and offering some sort of like coaching for the weekly winner, so that way, you know, there's reasons like, hey, if you're losing the contest, there might be some benefit to winning the week, right? So doing like an hour one-on-one coaching call, where we'll dive into your business and try to figure out what's going on. So still kind of, I might start that December, for the first week in December, just because with like the holidays and stuff, I don't really want to be responsible for that right now.
Yeah, somebody's asking about what's Spencer's status now. Just, you know, I don't
got
let that
10 million
deter you.
points.
Yeah, just don't let that deter you. Let it motivate you. Get
Yeah,
in
that's
there.
right. I'll be posting that in the leaderboard. I think he's done like 40 of these things so far, but I'll tell you what, when you don't, like at the beginning, this is kind of what happens at the beginning, is you have the ability to set a bunch and do a bunch, but then you start getting appointments from this, and then you've got to like deal with fulfillment. So your ability to do more of them starts to go down, and that's really a good thing. I mean, it might be a bad thing for your chances of winning the contest, but it's a great thing for your business when you're starting to have to like worry about fulfillment, because that means you're closing deals, right? So he's going to be hitting that wave here pretty quickly, and it's going to give you guys an opportunity to catch up.
Right on. We have a question about cost per lead. Sharon is asking, never done cost per lead, but the column actually calculates X amount of leads based on the time of the call and amount agreed to. Yes, that just so you can kick out the bot calls and stuff like that, or calls that maybe aren't.
Let's get a little more clear on that. So the idea for this column is right now is this isn't what you're charging your client. This can be like an internal number for you. So here's a situation. I have a client that is in Ohio, and he's in like 3 markets, and we didn't realize that we were sending him like 240 leads a month. It like we didn't know. We have a lot of clients, we got a lot of numbers, and so the idea is like put in for the client. You put in so like imagine this client is named Patrick, right? So I put for this Patrick Shannon guy, I put in how much he's paying me, and then this will calculate how much this person's paying per lead based on like if I have him on a monthly fee. So let's say I've got him on a $2,000 monthly fee, and I send him 100 leads, right? So then I can use that to figure out like, okay, he's, you know, what he's paying per lead. So if it starts to get out of control, then you can get the heads up, or I mean, it could go in both directions, right? You're probably going to hear from a client if this number gets to be too high, if this number starts going up, and this will be one of the ones that you'll have the compare feature where you can look at this month over month. So I think it's a really good thing to have. One of the things that Jeff and I, you know, I'm a part of 2 different coaching programs right now for myself to get coaching so that we can continue to move our business forward. And in one of the programs, they're huge on like building a dashboard and having metrics on your business. So I'm working on that in my agency where I can get metrics on everything. Like for instance, one of the metrics that they're saying is like, hey, you need an average support ticket time or the time to first response, like all these different metrics. So what does that look like for our marketing agency? And then how do we use this system to give you those numbers and give a dashboard where, hey, if I can only look at a few numbers, I can get the health of my business. So starting to be able to build these reports is kind of moving us in that direction where we can really understand the health of our business and the health of a client, the health of a website by looking at some of the numbers, right? We've got them. We just need to position it and display it in a way that's easy for people to have access to.
Yeah, this is what separates a real business owner who's scaling, I think, you know, from an agency standpoint. I mean, it's amazing how important these numbers can become when you have as many clients as we're getting and all of that.
Yeah, I think one thing I would add in there is average call time. I know it's pretty minimal, but when you start getting into like service businesses, it's super important. I used to train a lot of like dispatchers and how to make sure like you make sure the job gets closed. So that would probably be another column that I would add in there, just my recommendation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is by no means like a comprehensive list. These are ones that I kind of provided. One of the ones that I really wanted in here is this stuff here on the end is like missed call percentage, answer call percentage,
sure.
voicemail percentage.
Yeah.
Just like, we had a client reach out to us 2 weeks ago, and he was like, hey, I can't pay in November because, and you guys haven't been sending me enough leads. And we kind of went at the numbers, and I'm like,
Answer your fucking phone.
answer your phone, man, because he had missed 90% of his calls in the last 12 months. I'm like, so there wasn't a, like, obviously I could have found that out and figured it out, but it wasn't a number that was in front of me. And when you're like running 2 different businesses, managing a bunch of people, and you're trying to like scale these, like, it's really easy for this stuff to slip through the cracks. So this is going to look bad on your lead gen too, right? If your client is not answering the phone, you're going to get bad reviews eventually, because these people that are calling are not often not getting called back, and they're not going to be happy, and they're calling your lead gen, and they're going to like, some of them don't care, and they're going to get called back by other people, but some of them, some percentage of these people are going to be pissed off, and they're going to leave you a bad review. I've seen it on a lot of my lead gens, and this will help protect against that and make sure that we have the right people there. And if they're not, if this number is too high, it's going to be really hard for them to pay you what you're sending. Like if they're missing 90% of the calls, this is why this guy can't pay his bill, right? He's not answering his phone. So he's not getting the value from what we're sending him. So there's all this stuff is related, and you're going to see these trends, right? So having this information delivered to you, like the first thing I'm going to do once we get this live is I'm going to set up weekly reports. I'm going to build out my own, and I'm going to, every Friday, I'm going to have this delivered to me, and I'm just going to spend an hour every Friday going through this and looking for things that look, this is out of whack, like, and then we can make an adjustment, right? And so that's why Jeff and I have been trying to get our arms around our business with this, and it's like it's been a struggle because we don't have this information easily accessible yet, but we will with this.
Yeah, you have to dig for it in the way that the systems are set up right now through other call platforms and whatnot. So that's the problems that this platform is trying to solve. It's amazing. We had a call from a client today who was saying he wasn't getting any leads, and it turns out that maybe his employees are taking those leads and maybe reselling, closing the jobs and selling them out from under him. And just having the data all in one place where you can kind of like tune in and get notifications and all of this. I mean, I'm looking for this to be a complete game changer in our agency for sure.
And also too, you'd be surprised how many people actually aren't using the message feature in Gmb. And actually I still get quite a few leads that come through that. So that's even something like you have to coach like your clients if you're just doing client work or even lead gen, like you guys should be also checking those messages as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to be building that in as well to this like messaging. And here's the idea is as we launch our mobile apps, when those messages come through, having those be routed and being push notifications that we can respond to, and assigning a message to a client saying, hey, if I assign this GMB to this client and that message comes in, then they can be responding in the mobile app, and that can go back through and be responded to in real time. So they have this like two-way conversation that's happening. It's like, how can we give our business owners the tools they need to maximize their business? When we do that, we add a ton of value. And that's kind of my goal with this. It's like, if the same strategy with you, how do I give you guys the tools that you need to be more successful, right? If I can do that, then you guys are never going to leave this platform. So that means that I have to do that for your clients too. And that's kind of what we're trying to do with a lot of these things is, and do it in a way where a person who works on trees or concrete can understand it, right? It has to be very intuitive, not like super techy. Cool. Do we have additional questions?
Yeah, we're bouncing around here. Dave is asking back to the contest. Does this mean that the contest is based on the number of heat maps, or is it based on the amount of new business revenue generated?
It's going to be based on the number of heat maps shared is kind of the strategy that we're using. New revenue generated is, I thought about doing it that way, but I wanted to kind of, there's a big gap here with sales for people, right? And I think by using a metric that's going to create more sales and measuring it that way, it will like neutralize the playing field a little bit. Previously, we included like new revenue dollars and we had like a points multiplier and it got complicated. My plan is moving forward, once we get our leaderboard stuff built in, we're probably going to do different types of contests every month and really just gamify this and set this up so that we're playing all these games, making it fun. And then like, let's gamify what is necessary to run a successful business. Let's do it in a way where we're kind of like pushing people towards what has helped us build our agency and what we've seen with the other people that are successful, the steps they do. If we can create games that moves the behavior in that way, I think it will help move your guys' businesses. So that's how we have it set up right now.
Cool. That Dave is asking. Dave, do you want to ask that directly? Because I'm not sure I really understand what you're asking there. Not the contest, but response to others. Oh, where he went. Okay. Well, there's another question. This is kind of a can of worms, and we're getting up on an hour and a half. But Patrick is asking, what do you recommend to build out rank and rent websites, Gutenberg, WordPress elements? And then JP said that he uses business sites. So I don't know. This is an interesting question.
So I've seen a lot of people have success with the business sites, as JP mentioned. We use WordPress. I have been using, I honestly, I don't know the builder that we use. My team is managing all that stuff at this point. I know that William Jones recommends Gutenberg. We recently updated our plugins, so they now support Gutenberg as well. So any of the people that are on this call using that, you'll find that installing our WordPress plugin will allow those form submissions to be pulled into our platform immediately. I think that like the business site strategy, like that seems like a way to go really fast and not have to deal with all the nonsense. And Google loves their stuff, but I'm not sure what the long-term implications, because we haven't gone down that road much. So all of our stuff and what I recommend is on WordPress. It's just like we have 400 sites and it's $130 a month. I've heard of some platforms charging as much as like $12 to $14 per month per site, which just like as you scale, that seems like ludicrous to me.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. The only reason why I switched to mainly business sites is just because indexing is such a pain in the ass right now, and I don't really see a whole lot coming from SERPs anyway. So it's, for me personally, I mean, I've been in this space for almost 15 years. To me, it's just a waste of time. I hate building sites. I can rank GMBs super quick. I can throw in 10 in a market and be fine. You get more calls from GMBs than any SERP site. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, to me, like a lot of the trends that I'm seeing just because of the indexing issues, it seems to me like Google is actually loving HTML sites even more than WordPress. So I built a couple of tools that uses a WordPress platform. Then it also builds a static HTML page for like a location page. So, and those get indexed like super quick. So just because of the indexing stuff right now, I just kind of, even like my business sites aren't even indexing. I just use it just to have a website up for my listings.
I gotcha.
So, yeah.
So then you're with these business sites, are you, is building backlinks to your site a part of ranking your GMB, or are you just kind of like relying straight on?
I mean, links is probably kind of like my last resort. I mean, I kind of have my own little methodology to rank in maps, but definitely using a business site just because it has if you look at the DA on it, it's pretty high. So, and Google of course loves their own stuff anyway. So you're going to get a little bit of a natural boost. But I mean, for the most part, for me, it was just trying to build out WordPress sites and doing like mass page and trying to get them indexed. It just becomes such a pain in the butt. I prefer just working with the business sites and just working with GMBs primarily.
Yeah, it seems like a faster way to go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a question there, JP. Do you find a lower suspension rate with Google Sites?
It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I wish it didn't, but I did notice I even saw a little bit of a boost because if you create the business site, they actually offer a way to buy a domain through Google. I even saw like a slight boost by buying the domain directly through them, and then they just transfer and redirect the business site to that domain through Google. But to me, it's like I'm building, a few hundred at a time. I'm not going to go buy a bunch of domains and spend time and money throwing up sites. It just, for me, I'm a big maps guy. I've always have been. That's what I stick to.
Right on. Kyle,
I got a question
Roloff,
real
you had
quick.
your hand
What's
up.
up, Joseph Graham?
Okay, I'm sorry. I had to just
Right.
cut everybody off. Okay, I know this
Yeah.
has been answered before, but like I'm losing a lot of reviews, and I don't know how to send mass requests. And that data form you just showed with everything that's the percentage and stuff. Do we have access to that or not yet?
That's not live yet. That's something that's a prototype for what we're reporting module that we're building. I'm hoping to have that live before the end of November, but it's not live yet.
Kyle, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to pop in. Patrick said that I just caught when I was able to hop on for the Gmb API. You do need a company Gmb that's related to your agency. You can't just use a random one. It doesn't work. Google really takes a strong look at that. So just wanted to give that answer right off the bat. So
Yeah,
I think
cool.
that was Will that had asked that, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
believe so.
Yeah, Kyle, could you say that one more time? Sorry.
it's worth the time to go build an agency Gmb and a website.
Okay.
Because your
application
chances of
for the
getting
API.
approved for the API will increase. And for those of you who have applied and been denied, go look at your agency Gmb. Make sure you're a marketing agency or an internet marketing service. Make sure that you have pictures of yourself, your workspace, and your just general office area.
And it has to be a domain email too. Don't use like a Gmail.
Yeah, it has to be like developers at your agency domain.
Yep.
Kyle, any other tips you want to share about how we could kind of expedite this Gmb API process?
When you say to expedite, you mean speed up. So what are you talking about exactly?
Is there any other steps or things that they should have in place that would help them be able to get the approval faster?
I think the main stuff that I've laid out is have a developers at your agency email, have a website that has your information all on it, have a Gmb that's for your agency, that has the things I mentioned earlier about having your images that are local to you, that have pictures of you, especially with Joseph Graham's awesome beard. He really should have a Gmb that has that on him. So, but you should, those are the things that are really key for that. I mean, for the Gmb that I first got approved on, I literally applied for probably 2 weeks before and got that verified. I got the Gmb verified, and then 2 weeks later, I got the API verified for it. So it's not a matter of age on the Gmb. It's a matter of because I got me in a red shirt in my office area, and my office area is by no means pretty, but it shows legitimacy. And also get a DBA for your agency or a picture of your LLC and put it up there too. Because I only have 3 pictures on my Gmb, and that it's one of me, one of my workspace, one of my DBA for study calls. So
Hey Patrick, I got a question. How difficult would it be to set up a separate session so that way, let's say I have 10 clients, but I don't want to use my own email to manage those 10 clients. Do you think there would be a way to build something in where I could be marketing at abcplumbing.com for my client and have those 10 sessions built into LeadSnap?
Think about that for just a second, Patrick, as I say thank you to Kyle. Those are golden nuggets that you just dropped.
So JP, what do you mean by sessions?
So let's say I typically don't use one email to manage my clients. I actually will have them make me an email that I actually log into under their domain. So let's say I have 10 clients, could I log into their Gmb through LeadSnap, for those 10 different clients rather than managing all 10 locations under one email?
Yeah, absolutely. So each one you add, you just go through and you authenticate. Let me share my screen. I'll show you what this process looks like. Give me 1 second.
Because the reason why I bring that up, I'm going to play a little devil's advocate because I've been doing this for a long time, is the reasons why, I won't say the other company, but the reasons why there was a lot of flags with people's listings was because things were being managed through a centralized account that was going through an API, which was also an API that actually wasn't owned by the agency. So to kind of help facilitate, it's either you have to be legit, like Kyle mentioned, or you're going to have to be able to log into each client's listing in a separate session. So like using your own email for each one of those 10 clients rather than managing them all under one email. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. So the way I always do it in our agency is we have a different email for every Google My Business that we set up.
Yeah.
So I'm not 100% sure I'm clear on your question, but I think what you're asking is what you would do is like all the stuff that you manage would be under one API, right? But the GMBs would actually be on separate emails. And when I want to add one, I would just go into the accounts and then I would click on add new account and I would enter my email address here. And then on the next page, it's going to authenticate. So it's going to bring that Google My Business and the ability to manage it under your account, essentially. So it will be managed. They'll all be managed through that one API. And that API is, am I answering?
Yes. So my question is it actually managed? So like those 10 clients, are they actually going to be managed through each separate email and we're just using API to push like those posts out, for example, or is it?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So each one, that's the whole authentication step, is that you have to authenticate every GMB. Unless if you've got 10 under one email, then you would only have to authenticate once because it will pull all 10 of those. But
right.
That's not how you should do it. How you should do it is separate those out, because it's, JP, you've probably seen the same thing where like a suspension comes through and they like clear out an entire account.
Yes.
You want to have that separation.
Yes.
So this, back to like what we were talking about earlier, the API is created by Google for the purpose of managing Google My Businesses from people that don't know each other, right? So like it's meant for a third-party application to be plugged in and manage thousands of those. So there's that separation in the way that it's created, and then you've got a second separation because of how like they're on different accounts and you have to authenticate separately.
Yeah, I hope that made sense for everybody, just because there's a huge problem when people are using APIs and using third-party tools. I've been always very cautious of doing it because I've literally seen, agencies that are managing 200 clients, every single listing gets flagged and it's a huge mess.
Yeah, you've got to separate them out by email.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. Cool. All right. We are at
an aged Gmail accounts per each GMB listing is the right practice for that, right?
Yeah, that's how we do it. We do phone verified aged emails, and then we've had batches we bought where like everything got suspended as soon as we verified it, and then we've had ones where it's like that doesn't happen at all. So just make sure you're getting it from a reliable source. I'm not going to mention on this call where we get ours from, but there's a lot of them out there. If you Google PVA is what they call it. Jordan, is that what you use?
Yeah, if you just do, there's like buyaccounts.com, just do a search for PVA and you can find a ton of them. I have a couple of sellers too. You guys can reach out to me and I can give you a couple of referrals.
All right, Jeff, how we doing?
We're doing good. We got one real quick question here. Is it helpful to use an email connected to your domain, example info@concretes.com to use?
Yes,
set up your
always. Well, that should be your primary focus. Always try to use a domain email.
So that I think is in relation to setting up the API, right?
API, and I would even use it for your GMBs, even for your lead gen. If you guys are using a website, they're getting pretty strict on just using regular Gmails.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
Where is the replay going to be? The replay will be in the group LeadSnap and Lead Generated. Greg, we're also starting to post these on YouTube, on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's another thing. I know that there's been some like hey, if you're in this group, we're gonna kick you out of this other group. I'm not gonna dive into the details of it, but that existed at one point. So we're gonna start putting all this stuff on YouTube too. So and like I said, we're gonna be we're really starting to turn the corner with starting to push our platform, where over the last year it's been more about like, hey, let's get our processes in place. So with that, we're going to be communicating a lot more through email, you know, and sharing the stuff from the replays. So it's exciting for us to be kind of moving into this new phase. And like I said, with the software coaching program that I've joined, we've got access to some of the best minds on this subject. So we're really looking forward to using that coaching to make this platform way better for you guys than it currently is, and just kind of get everything dialed in. So we're really excited for that.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Get platform agnostic and get out there. Come on. No, it's super awesome that you know, you're going to be broadcasting on YouTube for some of the great content that's put out. You know, to be able to catch it on a replay wherever it is, you know, it's awesome. So Patrick, thank you. Jeff, you've been awesome tonight as well, and I want to say thanks for everything that both of you do to help each and every one of us in this group.
Yeah, thanks a lot for your questions too. That helps. It's very helpful to know what you guys are needing and what we can help you with.
Yeah, and thanks for JP for helping out. He gave us a tremendous amount of value.
Oh hell yeah! And then Kyle chimed in too with some golden nuggets.
Team effort. Yeah,
that's what it's all about. We're a team. Keep motivating everybody, right?
For sure. All right, guys. So you guys have
one thing. Sorry, Patrick. I was trying to find my mute button. Who is JP? Like, what's his actual name so I could?
Jordan Pierce. He shared
Jordan Pierce.
Yeah. You tune into the first few minutes of the call. I kind of gave an introduction about him. Yeah.
Last question.
Let me set up a shout out.
Last question quickly. Where should they be posting the heat maps for the contest?
So there, we're going to share a link where you can kind of log your results. So I don't have that handy, but it's going to be attached to, so this video, like Jeff's last question, where is this going to be? It's streaming live in the groups right now. So it's going to stay there, and we're just going to edit that post, and we're going to include a link to the spot where you can register and log your results. And then we're going to be adding some spots within the platform to make this easier for you guys. So my plan is to really just like gamify this thing so much within the platform and have all sorts of contests and things like this that help us build businesses. And we're going to have, eventually we're going to have some big prizes. You know, we're going to be doing live events, and you know, some of these could be like, hey, you get you know, a hotel or free ticket at the event or whatever it is. We're kind of working through that stuff. I'm talking with these coaches that we have, and coming up with the things that these guys have used. So I think I mentioned this last week. There's like 10 or 12 coaches that have done, you know, 8-figure exits on software platforms that we get one-on-one coaching to. So they've solved these problems. They have some of the best and brightest minds, and we get one-on-one coaching with them with this. So we're really excited, and we're going to take with that, and we're going to turn this in. And part of it is like gamifying stuff. I've already like talked to them about that. It seems like a really important thing. So we're going to make this as fun as possible for you guys moving forward. All right.
Some of the best advice they've given us is to stay hydrated. So we pass that on to you guys. Stay hydrated. Get out there. Get some
Key to success.
Are we talking about whiskey or water?
They just said hydrated. They didn't specify, but for whatever reason, that's like their sign-off line is to stay hydrated, which is odd. But so you guys have 7 days. It'll be Wednesday, November 24th, next 7 days from now. Do what you got to do to create the wins over this next week, guys. Take action in your business. We have, what do we got? We got like 44 days left in the year. So 7 is a pretty big percentage of that. So go do it. If you want the results, take the action over the next week, and let's celebrate your wins on the next call based on what you do. So
hey, what are we going to do next week, Patrick? It's the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Sorry, to jam it up a little bit more here, but that's important.
Planning.
A turkey GMB bowl.
What's that?
A turkey GMB bowl.
There you go. We all dress up like turkeys.
That's right.
My plan is to continue with the call. I know I wasn't here last week. So my plan is to be here for the call, but if that changes, we'll update within the group. Maybe we'll take a kind of a soft poll to see who's going to be here. But even if even if our attendance is low, people can rewatch it. So with all the changes and stuff that's coming out, especially with the potential to have the white label version out in the middle of next week, I think it would be great to have that call. So yeah, but stay tuned. That is subject to change, I guess. All right.
Cool.
All right, guys. Have an
Thank
awesome week. Create some wins, and we'll see you guys in the group.
See you, everybody.
All right.
Later.
Take care.
Yeah.